We're in today with the RTX 3070 from Gigabyte. This is the AORUS model. We're gonna pair it up with this i7 9 Gen. And we're gonna see how it's rocking in Fortnite. I'm gonna pass through every single settings to show you how this video card is holding. Let's start with 1080p on performance mode. That is DirectX 11 with low details. You can actually see that the GPU is actually pushing a lot of FPS. Even the fan is on 0 because it's not utilizing the core too much. Like 30% load on the core with 1.3 gig of VRAM. It's not enough for this video card's cooler to be bothered, seriously. In this case, it's only utilizing 60 watts consumption. The moment I mention it, apparently managed to start. So on this occasion, you can actually see the cooler is running with barely 1000 RPM. I will say that's a very decent performance from this. On maximum details with DirectX 11 performance mode without mesh, apparently we are getting decent FPS, over 150 FPS on average. And I will say this is a big win for the video card because this is the right settings for me, and I will say that I will choose this every single time because I want to benefit from this video card's performance and to be able to use the monitor on high refresh rate. This is what I desire from this video card in order to get competitive FPS from this. 150 FPS, nearly to 200 in some cases, with 24 on minimal and 52 on 1%. Apparently in performance mode with low details on 2K, apparently we're still getting over 150 FPS on average with 61 on minimal and 94 on 1%. The GPU is starting to get hot in this situation, but you notice that it's using only 1700 RPM in order to stay around 72-73 degrees. If there is any problems, I will intervene with MSI Afterburner to keep the GPU cool, and I will say that this is a great performance overall from this video card. Everything on maximum details on 2K with these settings on performance mode. Apparently the GPU is still doing the fantastic job. It's only utilizing 1.7 gig of VRAM, and I will say this is an overall great experience. Doesn't matter the resolution and the performance, I think the GPU is still perfectly capable of delivering the performance with DirectX 11 performance mode. This is the resolution in order to get high FPS, low usage on the GPU, so I think this is the right setting. On 4K with DirectX 11 performance mode, we are getting on low details nearly 200 FPS on average, 70 degrees on the core. This is actually interesting performance from this. You know, I had to max out the fan in order to get this 69-70 degrees on the GPU. 1.7 gig of VRAM used, so the CPU in this case is using nearly 100 watts consumption to deliver this performance, and I noticed it because it's on 68 degrees. The CPU is being utilized, but it's averaging really nice, the CPU and the GPU, and I would say this is a very good performance if you want to drive this video card to 4K in Fortnite with performance mode. I will take this resolution all day, yes? But if you put the game on high details with DirectX 11 performance mode, I will say it's still holding pretty well. Look at this, 200 watts consumption, 69 degrees on the core. I will say overall this is a very good performance, and the only 1.8 gig of VRAM is being utilized with this, and I will say not that bad. Nearly 200 watts consumption, 89-90 degrees on the hotspot on the GPU. So the GPU is getting a little hot in this case, but is still holding overall really good. This is in the house with 300 FPS, but the only thing it's important in this case, it's the minimals and 1%. That is 28 and 68 on average, with 3.54 on average. On DirectX 11 with low details as a preset with 1080p, we're getting around 260 FPS on average. I will say this is, it looks kind of funky, but it does the performance in this case. It does the performance really well. Look at the GPU's temperature, 36 to 37. This is my kind of resolution, seriously. If it keeps the GPU cool, I will take it. On the CPU side, apparently it's reaching 70 degrees on this performance and 100 watts consumption. So in this case, the CPU it's the one that is being used. But with maximum settings on DirectX 11 with 1080p, apparently you managed to put the GPU on a little load. We're getting around 200 watts consumption, and that is the point Q that is telling me that the GPU is being utilized here. Looks good even with DirectX 11, I'm not gonna lie. Looks fantastic, 67 degrees on the GPU. It's getting loaded, that core, hence why I got that temperature. 3.1 gig of VRAM being utilized. I see a lot of stutter here. It's kind of horrible to keep seeing those stutters. So I think on maximum details with DirectX 11, not performance mode, DirectX 11, normal DirectX 11, you're getting a lot of stutter, but it looks great. That's the only catch. But on 2K, apparently, with low details, the GPU is doing a fantastic job. This is actually low details. It looks much better on low details with 2K, because on 1080p with low details as a preset, it was kind of horrible. But on 2K, it started to look really great. Even if it's low details as a preset, you can actually see that the wattage on the GPU didn't manage to go up. It's still under around 50 watts consumption. The GPU is good. 2.5 gig of VRAM utilized here, and the temperature it's under 50 degrees. I will say this is a big win for the video card, but on the CPU side, apparently it's getting a little hot, you know, and there's a couple of glitches here and there, and that's it. Look at that. If you put the game on 2K and you are setting up the game with maximum details, you will realize that the GPU is it's mega loaded with 240 watts consumption, and in this case you can actually see that the temperatures is starting to get really high, because 98, 99 maximum core load. The quality is there, the power consumption is there, the VRAM starts to be utilized, nearly 4 gig of VRAM utilized here, and even on the CPU side we're getting what over 100 watts consumption on the CPU. You can actually see 75 in some cases on the CPU temperature. That is a lot of performance being pushed with this system overall. And only 15 minimals and 23 1%. I will be very careful to push this game with this amount of quality in this resolution. But this is how the GPU is holding. Now on 4K resolution with low details, you can actually see the GPU and the system is still holding, but this is low quality. This is actually important because on 4K with low details, the GPU is delivering this performance and it's utilizing 3.3 gig of VRAM. The power consumption on the GPU is reaching 100 watts now. Now it's around 57 degrees on the core temperature with 50% load on the core. On the CPU side, 80-90 watts consumption and around 70% load on the CPU core with 65 degrees on the temperature. Overall performance in the game, it's over 150. In some cases, it's reaching 200 FPS on average, but 22 minimals and 65 on 1%. Not very good. The frame time is good, but yeah, in some cases it's spiking, and it will not be very ideal to have this amount of FPS if you're planning to play competitive in Fortnite. On maximum details with DirectX 11, you do get the opportunity to play the game, but it's lagging like hell. Look at this, 50 FPS on average, 11 on minimals and 1%. And I will say this is not the right way to play the game, because there's a lot of consumption here from the CPU and the GPU itself. Not saying it's not a good performance, I'm just saying that I will not take these settings. Maximum performance from the GPU. The GPU is utilizing 5.6 gig of VRAM, maximum wattage, 103 degrees, 100 degrees on the hotspot. Impressive performance, but this is not the right settings. Wow, look at that. Why you slided like that from the hill? I have the shield. But if we are switching to DirectX 12 on 1080p with low details as a preset, we're getting around 260 FPS on average. Good performance overall, but DirectX 12, you know, so in this case you can actually see that the CPU is overheating. It's over 100 watts, and I don't really recommend this because I really want better performance from the hardware. But on the GPU side, 41 degrees on the core. Apparently it's utilizing only 2.1 gig of VRAM and stays under 100 watts consumption. That means it's 63. I would say this is overall a great experience if you're interested on playing on DirectX 12. DirectX 12, I don't know, it makes no sense, seriously. I will still play on performance mode because that's the way you can get the best performance from the hardware, considering that you want to achieve the maximum FPS for your monitor. If you put the quality on maximum details on 1080p, you're gonna get some really nice, interesting details here. It looks kind of fantastic. Overall, the quality is gorgeous, you know, but on the GPU side and on the CPU side, you will get a lot of usage. So I don't want this, and because there's a lot of spikes. It looks fantastic. It looks gorgeous. Everything is awesome about this resolution. But look at that. You can actually see it's reaching 20 ms on the frame time, and I don't want that. 70 degrees on the CPU, 72 on the GPU. Like, it's maximum load, and I can't even believe I managed to do a kill with this amount of stutter. Seriously. If you swap to 2K with low details on DirectX 12, I think you will be very impressed how the GPU is performing. Look at that. What a big drill. This is a good performance from the system itself on average with over 200 FPS. I mean, averaging around 200 FPS, but very bad minimals and 1%. On the GPU side, you can actually see that the video card is utilizing only 3 gig of VRAM, around 50% load on the core of the GPU, and 51 degrees. This is a good average from this video card. It's not a bad performance considering how low is the wattage. Only the CPU, on the other hand, it's reaching 100 watts consumption, and it's nearly on 70 degrees. With maximum details on DirectX 12, you can get around 86 FPS. Why? How is it working so good? Seriously, there's no upscaling. Why is it running so good? Seriously. I'm actually surprised how nice it's working. I mean, DirectX 11 was horrible, seriously, on maximum details. In this case, the GPU is utilized with 4 gig of VRAM, nearly 80 degrees temperature on the core, maximum core load, and 240 watts consumption. In this case, you have to see if the FPS is stabilizing, because the minimas now in this case are 35, 21. Look at that. The frame time it's reaching 10, 11, 15. Yeah, this is not the right settings I want for my monitor, seriously. If I want to have a decent performance in the game, I think I will go with performance mode. Only 2 people left. Oh, look at that, he died in the circle. Oh no, oh no. On 4K resolution with low settings here, apparently we are getting interesting performance, over 200 FPS on average. It's kind of good to see this GPU performing like this. It's kind of good to see this whole system running like this on this resolution, because it's an overall good performance from the video card. I can actually see that the minimals is around 36, 89 on 1%. I would still prefer to take performance mode, because in this situation you can actually see the CPU is reaching nearly 100 watts consumption, and on the GPU side we're utilizing 3.6 gig of VRAM. The hotspot on the GPU is reaching 80 degrees. It's getting, how shall I say, the system is being utilized even on low details in this situation. It's possible to use 4K with low details in Fortnite with DirectX 12, but in this case I will rather have a different, how shall I say, a different type of settings, not with DirectX 12. If you want maximum details on DirectX 12 with 4K resolution, I think you will end up with the system around 50 FPS on average. 5 minimals, 28 to actually 20 on 1%, over 20 ms apparently on average, and a lot of spikes because everything here it's on maximum power. The CPU, the GPU, everything is being utilized, and I will say this is kind of hard on the system, and it's not very ideal. But if you decide to stay on 4K with maximum details on DirectX 12, there is an option with this video card that is DLSS. Now, if you activate upscaling and you put DLSS on balance, you will get 100 FPS, 26 on minimals and 57 on 1%. Not very good numbers, you know, because considering how low the minimal is, frame time is around 10, not very good, and there's a lot of spikes when you move around the buildings and objects. In this case, you will get decent performance, nearly 100 watts consumption on the CPU side, and 82 degrees on the GPU, because the GPU is still being utilized with maximum core load. The only thing we have less now, it's VRAM utilization, but that's it. If we put the NVIDIA DLSS on high performance, you will notice that the performance it's getting just a little different. I mean, the system is now using 12.4 gig of system RAM in order to deliver this performance. The core load on the video card is still the same, 4.5 gig of VRAM, that is lower than the previous one. So I will say on balance it was using more VRAM, but on performance mode, yeah, performance DLSS, it's still stressing the GPU, but I think it will have better minimals and 1%. I don't think it's gonna be significant, but it will help just a little. Do I like the video card? Yes, it's fantastic. It's got that external screen that makes your computer look kind of awesome, you know. Every time I power up the computer, it's just magnificent to watch it. Everything is good. The only problem is the temperature in this case with those low RPM fans, because only 2000 RPM, 2400 RPM. I mean, if they had better fans, I think the video card will be cooler. But overall, it performs really nice. I like how it's working in Fortnite, but my opinion will be performance mode, 240 FPS lock, long view distance, and that's it. That's my choice in order to be more, how should I say, progressive in my gameplay. I want to get better at the game, and that's the only way I can do it. I can do it with low minimals and high frame rate and stuttering, even if it looks fantastic. I don't care about looks. I want performance. In some situation, that's more important. So overall, I like how it's working. The only thing is important to tell me if you manage, how should I say, to find it entertaining or like it, you know, make sure you smash that like button. If you have any suggestion for this video card, leave a comment, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and I will see you very soon.